Alright, guys, so I watched episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again, and it was a pretty entertaining episode, to say the least. Now, the critics have been saying that the first 3 episodes are more slow, and that episode 4 is when things get pedal to the metal, as they say. So some people say that. And I gotta say, maybe my expectations were just like a tad bit too high. I'm like, yeah, this is like really entertaining, right? Like these sequences are really entertaining, but I still feel like some of the weaker aspects of this season aren't really getting addressed. So this is just going to be spoiler review. Let's get into it. So the episode starts off with Bullseye cooking some eggs, and yeah, this stuff is great. Just seeing Bullseye in his like natural habitat, pretending like he's like a normal person. This character is just such a standout. We get to see him taking out AVTF agents, and again, like, we heard a lot about this diner scene, and don't get me wrong, it's really cool, but like when I heard it like overly hyped so much in the lead up to me watching this episode, I do think maybe my expectations were like a little too high, because when I, like, to the degree that people were hyping up this Bullseye diner scene, it's like, it's a really good scene, but it's not like, it's not like the 11-minute Daredevil one-shot or anything like that. I wouldn't even say it's as good as like the one-shot that we got in the second episode. So, again, it is a cool scene. Or no, I think we got the one-shot in the third episode of this season. So yeah, it's a really cool scene. Just not, it didn't quite live up to the hype of what critics and even the people working on the show themselves made it out to be. But again, still really cool, still really like Bullseye. We then get back to our heroes that are hiding out in a place. I don't think they said exactly where, but yeah, really lame stuff that the swordsman is just leaving. Like, that's dumb. I mean, if he's supposed to be a superhero, like, how is he just going to leave? He lost so much aura in this one scene where he's just like, yeah, this is really hard, so I'd rather not help you. I mean, I guess if the writers couldn't find or continue to find compelling ways to keep him involved in the plot, and they just didn't really know what to do with him, like, I guess that's what happened here, but I feel like the swordsman leaving before the fight is done just makes his character infinitely less cool when he was such a cool character in the first 3. I will say this, though, little baby white tiger still not annoying me. I made the point last week that they'd better not pull like a like a Laurel or whatever from Arrow, or I think his sister also became a vigilante in that show, where it was like, yeah, like the main point I was making is that we saw Karen taking out the AVTF agent. I'm kind of scared that they're just going to make a little baby white tiger a full-fledged superhero when it's like, like these characters that just randomly train for for a few sessions and then they become full-fledged vigilantes. It was so annoying in Arrow, and I really hope the show doesn't go down that path. But they're handling little baby white tiger well so far, where she's not just like taking people out like Daredevil or like a vigilante. She's doing stuff like sneaking around like a little kitty cat, slashing tires and stealing things. And here we see her getting the flash card or whatever to this kid that then gives it to BB or whatever her name is. So still not annoyed by White Tiger, but if we get to a part where she's just like taking people out and like fighting AVTF agents and like cool action scenes with Daredevil, that is when it could start getting just a little too ridiculous, of this little girl just taking some like some sessions with Daredevil, and he like trains her or whatever, and it's like, I feel like that needs to be developed over the course of like multiple seasons. But we'll see. Unless they like really establish that the White Tiger amulet imbues you with power, right? Like, If they establish that she has like super strength or something like that, then that could obviously change things. So they also try to create some tension between Matt and Karen, and I gotta say, at this point I think it was a mistake to have their relationship happen off screen, because we leave off of Daredevil Born Again season 1 and they're not really in a relationship. In fact, they weren't together for most of the season. And then off-screen character development happens to where they're already a couple at the beginning of this season. And now in season 4, when they're seemingly having tension, like, I think Matt says I love you, and then Karen like pauses and then says I love you back, but not super sincerely. It's like we haven't really gotten an opportunity to sit with them in a relationship long enough to where this tension is now like impactful. It just coming off as like rushed to me. We also get this scene where this like ICE agent that we've seen in multiple episodes, like he's giving McDuffie a rough time trying to get information out of her. And I gotta say, this guy is usually like really great at playing an asshole in the show. This scene was just like weirdly, it was badly acted in my opinion. Like I think this actor, who's usually really great, for whatever reason I just feel wasn't great in this episode. I don't know if it was like a direction issue. But yeah, that was just kind of a bad scene, a bad performance from him. But I will say, I think McDuffie, I think, is the side character from season 1 who wasn't very good at all. I feel like she's the best side character in this season. Well, sorry, maybe not the best side character. That's probably Bullseye. But she's the best of the worst. Like when I would put her, Heather, little baby Soprano, like these characters that you just didn't really care about, in the British guy, whatever, Buck. Like, of those characters that just felt that were just kind of there in season 1, I feel like she's rising to the top of her being this like very moral lawyer who's standing up to the system through the system. Like, her presence in the show feels like it actually adds to the season so far. Like, whereas Heather and little baby Soprano and Buck, they're still just like, eh. We also get another scene with Matthew Lillard's character. He's still really great. He's still chewing up the scenery. He's not in the show nearly as much as I would have expected him to be. But this was a good scene where we see Buck kill the 2 henchmen, and we see Kingpin gain the upper hand, and we see Kingpin like asserting his dominance. This was also the first scene where Matthew Lillard's character looks like nervous and not in control, which I think is really cool. So yeah, we'll see what I think his name is Mr. Charles or whatever. Like, what does he end up needing to do by the end of the season, right? Because he works for Valentina. Like, I'm gonna be very curious to see if once he completely loses control and Kingpin is full on Kingpin, does Mr. Charles call in a favor, right? Does he call in Valentina? He's like, hey, send me Yelena to help take down Fisk or something crazy like that. I wonder if this show is going to be able to go there. We get a really good scene with Vanessa and the governor, where it's essentially established that the governor does not trust Wilson Fisk at all, but she does trust Vanessa. And I kind of like that they explain a little bit more of like what makes Vanessa unique and work within the relationship with Fisk, where like she is like a businesswoman in and of herself. She does things in and of herself, and like she doesn't even really need Wilson Fisk, which I think is an interesting thing to establish. But she's genuinely with him because they genuinely love each other. It's like, again, I feel like the Netflix show and leading into this show definitely does do a really good job of, while they're evil, like, do make you like and appreciate Wilson and Vanessa's relationship. But yeah, obviously in this scene they established that the mayor she's willing to work with Fisk so long as Vanessa is there. And then we'll obviously get to the end of the episode when we get to it. I really like this scene where Matt is investigating the diner that Bullseye was in. Yeah, I guess I just feel like, now that I think about it, we haven't really seen a ton of scenes where Matt is like using his senses to investigate a crime scene. Like, that is a really cool idea that you would think would have been in the Netflix show and in the first season of Daredevil Born Again. Like, I mean, I'm sure there has to have been a scene like this, right? In the Netflix show. I just can't remember it. But yeah, it was really cool to see something like this. We also see Matt, like, praying in a church, which is obviously one of the bigger aspects of Daredevil, with Matt grappling with his faith and grappling with how, you know, he can be Daredevil in a way that he deems acceptable and whatnot. He has that fun conversation with the little priest boy, whatever he's called. Yeah, really cool to see Matt in a church, because I don't think we even saw that in Born Again season 1, from what I remember. And it was really cool with that scene with the kid, where Matt being in a church and praying and talking with the guy. It's like he talked himself down, seemingly, from killing Bullseye whenever he sees him. So yeah, like, that's something that I assume is going to be explored in the next few episodes, of like, how does Daredevil treat Bullseye? Like, he's not going to kill him. Is he going to be willing to work with him? I assume that's going to be like a main point of conflict between him and Karen of how they decide to handle Bullseye. So that should be an interesting storyline going forward. We get another fight with Daredevil and Bullseye, and it's really good, really cool. But then we also get Matt, a great performance from Charlie Cox here, where, like, Bullseye is like telling him how he wants to be a good guy, how he, you know, he's like, I forget the phrase that he used, but he's like, one good deed or whatever, which I assume is the thing within Catholicism. And so really good acting from Charlie Cox here, where he's like really frustrated with how he's gonna deal with Bullseye wanting to redeem himself, because personally, obviously, he doesn't want to forgive the guy who killed Foggy, but as a Catholic, it seems like as a part of his faith, he kind of has to give Bullseye room to redeem himself. So that, I assume, is going to be like a major thing moving forward in this season, which I'm going to be very curious to see how it plays out. Yeah, unfortunately, this baby Gandolfini and BB Urich niece storyline is just not it. Like, I remember in the first couple episodes, I was like, "Oh, man, this has potential. Maybe, the season's gonna probably do a good job of making us care about these side characters." And unfortunately, we're 4 episodes in, and I just still don't really care about baby Soprano and little girl Urich, because it's just like, I think her name is just BB Urich. Yeah, because I think Ben Urich was the name of his of her uncle, and her name is BB. Okay, like, there wasn't even any progression in this episode. Like, it was established that she is the one who's doing the Fisk parodies. It was established that he suspects her, and we didn't get any development on that in this season. There was nothing new learned by either character. We didn't get any more indication of whether or not baby Soprano or his name is Daniel, whether or not Daniel is going to do something to BB or whatnot. Like, this is by far the least interesting set of characters in the show, unfortunately. We also have this Kingpin boxing match, which is pretty cool. It is very fascinating how... I mean, I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I believe it is the case that this season was filmed before everything started going down with Ice. And, like, it's been so crazy to see just, like, how uncomfortably real this situation is felt. And it's like down to the T of we're even getting like a weird distraction combat sports event, right? Because Kingpin in the show is doing this boxing match. In real life, we're getting a Donald Trump at the White House UFC card. And it is just so preposterous how how close this show is actually emulating real life. I mean, not that Donald Trump is fighting in the card or anything like that, but still, very similar situations. But no, the scene was cool. Shout out to Vincent D'Onofrio for getting his arms in crazy shape. And yeah, obviously we get to the point in the fight where Bullseye shows up and Vanessa shows up, and Bullseye tries to kill Vanessa, but then Vanessa shoots him, and it's a big old hullabaloo. Daredevil shows up to, stop Kingpin from killing Bullseye, and it basically ends up with Vanessa probably not dead, just because I feel like they didn't do enough to confirm her death, so she's probably going to be revealed to be like sitting in a hospital bed. Although maybe she should be dead, or maybe she will be dead, because Vanessa obviously had that conversation with the mayor. It would be more narratively, it would make more narrative sense for Vanessa to die, because then that will cause the mayor to not want to work with Fisk, and that will probably lead to Fisk like just full on becoming Kingpin, just a total monster without a good woman to hold them back. So yeah, like maybe Vanessa will be dead, but again, I feel like they cut away from her too early, where she was still standing, she still had like life in her eyes. So I don't know, they didn't confirm her to be dead in this episode. It makes narrative sense for her to be dead, but we'll obviously have to wait and see next week to see what happens. But yeah, that was my review of episode 4. Overall, it was good. I enjoyed it. I am invested in the story and the show. I guess I just didn't come out of it loving it as much as I think the critics have led me to think I would. Like, it's solid. The season so far is very solid. Big improvement over season 1. But there are still some things that I think are holding it back from being truly great, and especially, holding a candle to the Netflix show. Which, it's fine. It doesn't necessarily need to be as good as the Netflix show, but, like for a Marvel Studio show, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, it is obviously just like, it's in the shadow of the Netflix show. So we'll see how the next batch of episodes go. But either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.